They didn't see a passenger that night. They saw a problem. A hoodie, old sneakers, a woman standing a little too calmly in a place they decided she didn't belong. And in less than 5 minutes, a routine boarding process turned into the most expensive mistake that airport had made all year. I still remember the sound first. Not voices, not yelling. The rip, paper tearing. My boarding pass split clean in half, fluttering down to the carpet like confetti nobody wanted. The gate agent smiled when she did it, not a big smile, just enough to let me know she felt powerful. "You need to step out of this line," she said loud enough for people nearby to hear. "You're holding everyone up." I had paid for seat 2A. Not upgraded, not comped. Paid. $14,000 charged to a corporate card I'd earned the right to use the hard way. But, standing there in worn sweats fresh off a brutal overseas trip, I might as well have been invisible. Or worse. Suspicious. That's the funny thing about exhaustion. It strips you down to who you really are. I didn't snap, didn't cry, didn't argue the way they expected. I just looked at her and said, "Could you scan the ticket, please?" Calm, flat, tired. She laughed. Actually laughed. "Honey, business class isn't a suggestion," she said. "It's for people who qualify." People behind me shifted. Someone sighed dramatically. Someone else pulled out a phone. I felt that familiar pressure in my chest, the one that shows up when you realize you're about to be judged by strangers who don't know a single thing about you but are very confident anyway. You know what I mean. I tried again. "Scan it. If I'm wrong, I'll leave." That's when she leaned closer, voice dropping into something sharp. "I've worked this gate for 11 years. I know what fraud looks like. And I'm not letting you pull something tonight. Fraud." There it was, clean and clear. The other agent, a guy pretending to type, avoided eye contact. Security was already being mentioned. And in that moment I realized logic wasn't going to save me. Proof wasn't enough. The truth wasn't enough, because to them I didn't look like truth. So I stepped aside. Let them think they'd won. Walked toward the windows overlooking the runway while the whispers followed me. My hands were shaking not from fear but from anger so cold it felt surgical. I pulled out my phone, scrolled past family, past assistants, past people who would ask questions. I tapped one num. The call rang once. "I need you to listen," I said when he answered. "And I need you to act fast." Less than 3 minutes later, every monitor at that gate went dark, then red. Boarding suspended. Systems locked. Jet bridge sealed. The plane's engines shut down right in front of everyone. A ripple of confusion moved through the terminal like a wave. The gate agent's face drained of color. "What did you do?" she demanded, suddenly unsure. I didn't answer. I didn't need to. Because that's when the running started. Not walking. Running. 3 men in tailored suits, security trailing behind them, panic written all over their faces. The tallest one slowed when he saw me, relief and dread colliding in his eyes. "There you are," he said, breathless. "I'm so sorry." That's when the air changed. Conversations stopped. Phones lowered. The same people who had been ready to watch me get escorted out suddenly realized something was very wrong. The gate agent straightened, tried to speak, tried to explain. He cut her off without raising his voice. "Don't." He turned to me. "We can fix this," he said quietly. "Whatever you need." I stepped forward, then past the line, past the torn paper still on the floor. "I don't want an apology," I said. "I want accountability." Someone asked who I was. He answered for me, slowly, clearly, so no one could miss it. He explained that the company I worked for had finalized an acquisition days earlier, that I wasn't just a passenger. I was the auditor who decided whether this airport's operations stayed intact. That technically, legally, uncomfortably, I was their boss. The gate agent's mouth opened, closed. Her knees buckled just slightly, like her body had figured it out before her brain did. But the story didn't end there. Because once the systems were frozen, once I had access, I started looking. Patterns show up fast when you know where to look. Blocked seats. Manual overrides. First class marked unavailable on full flights, then magically released at the last second. cash transactions that never touched the system. Seat 2A had been reserved, not for me, for someone else. Turns out she'd been running a side business, selling premium seats under the table, and tonight I was in the way. A woman in a hoodie was an easy obstacle to remove. Call her aggressive, call her fraudulent, call security. Problem solved. Except she picked the wrong person. Security escorted her away in handcuffs while the crowd watched in stunned silence. The flight was canceled. The gate became a crime scene. People were angry, confused. Some tried to apologize to me. I didn't engage. There was nothing to say. Weeks later, in a courtroom, I saw her again. No uniform, no attitude, just a tired woman in an orange jumpsuit staring at the floor while the judge listed charges that stacked higher than the confidence she'd used to tear someone else down. Wire fraud, false reporting, abuse of authority. When the sentence came down 5 years, the room went quiet. I didn't feel triumph. I felt closure. Here's the part people argue about in the comments. They say I went too far. That freezing systems, canceling flights, costing money wasn't proportional. That I could have just boarded and moved on. But that's the thing, I could have, and nothing would have changed. She would have kept doing it. Someone else would have been humiliated. Someone else would have been threatened. Power unchecked doesn't correct itself, it multiplies. A month later, I flew again. Different airport, same hoodie, same tired bones. The agent smiled, scanned my ticket, and said, "Rough travel day." No suspicion, no assumptions, just professionalism. That's all it ever needed to be. So here's my question for you. When is it standing up for yourself, and when is it too much? Where's the line between grace and silence? Between letting it go and letting it continue? I know where I stand, but I want to know what you think. Drop it in the comments. Have you ever been underestimated, watched, dismissed? And if you had the power to stop it, really stop it, would you use it?